You're listening to the Fezcast, the Saracens fans podcast, bringing you the independent and unhinged views of the voices in our heads, as well as those of our special guests. To get in touch with us, find the Fezcast on social media and listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube and more. Thanks for tuning in and enjoy this week's show.
You're listening to the Fezcast.
Well, welcome everybody. I'm here with Matt and John, and what a difference a week makes. Last week, the fellas on the Fezcast put out a really quite grumpy episode with some startling rumours included, and I won't say where the wildest of those came from, Matt, but it certainly got people talking, and the listener numbers are going through the roof. They might even overtake the episode when we spoke to Mark McCall. So, does this mean that we should, in fact, turn into Arsenal TV, or did we just catch the mood of a load of fans who were desperate to hear what they're thinking?
To be honest, we've spent probably 5 years being told that we're too positive and we sit on the fence too much and we say too many nice things, and we finally started to get a bit grumpy. I don't think that's entirely the case, to be honest, but I think, you know, we were upset and disappointed with things for good reason over the course of this season. And to be honest, it's stuff that we've been saying for a couple of years that's been ticking away in the background and has all started to come to a head. And we're going to talk about a really good win, but I don't think any of us are going to say, oh, that's it, everything's sorted. But I think it's fair enough, isn't it?
Yeah, I thought they were very fair. And you're right, we have been saying that there have been things wrong with the attack and this, that and the other. And it's not as if we were on our own, were we? And in fact, even Mark McCall said he didn't understand what was going on, and everybody seemed to have had a good talking to during the week, which obviously produced a result as it did. But all of us would like to say a big thank you to all of you people there on the Rugby Network Forum message board who've said some very complimentary things about us, not just for last week, but in general. They seem to think that we know what we're talking about, John, which I think is very far from the truth. even though some of us think we know what we're talking about. But what do you reckon?
I think generally we're quite an honest bunch, really. We go to the games, we see the games, and we say what we think. And sometimes that can be grumpy. So people listen to us because they think, well, if nothing else, they're going to moan like buggery, or we're going to get something else to talk about out of them. So it's nice to be appreciated, both by the Sarries fans and others.
Well, there you go, Matt. You're both interesting and know what you talk about.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, I've not been on the show very much this year, so probably that's the reason why we're getting some positive.
Oh, that's what it is. Yeah, that's what it is. Anyway, it was another brilliant night at the StoneX. The lights were on, the crowd was lively and loud, helped by being spurred on by a very vocal Toulouse contingent, which really did create a great atmosphere in the grounds, a lot of to and froing with the chanting. And looking at the comments on social media, everyone is universally happy, it appears, having been despondent the week before, Matt.
Yeah, it's amazing what you can do within 1 week, isn't it? We're all very fickle. I think it was quite a strange game. We'll probably talk about it in a bit more depth, but I actually thought for the first 10, 15 minutes we were rubbish. And then it just changed.
I agree with you.
I think there's a lot to be said for our new team of grounds staff or PA staff getting people going. As much as Simon Greenhill had his fans, I think it has stepped up a level in terms of creating an atmosphere for us as well. So it's worth saying that.
I was going to actually bring that up later, particularly in reference to... No, it's fine. We can deal with it now. In reference to one of the 3-word reviews, because it's a very Marmite subject, isn't it?
Yeah. People
love it or hate it. But I think this announcer he's really getting the balance right. And okay, yesterday, we're speaking on Monday, it's a lot easier to get that crowd going. But there's other weeks when he's done well getting the usual kind of StoneX sit back and keep quiet crowd going as well. The other shout out I'd give was the halftime entertainment. It took me back to the days of Eddie Waring and It's a Knockout in that it was completely unintelligible. It was completely mad and it was hilarious.
My son said to me, she was okay, but could she take it down a couple of octaves so I could actually understand what she was saying? The enthusiasm was there, but her voice was up here. So
I don't think it's misogynist to say that it's harder for women just with the frequency of their voices. If they get loud, it's not anywhere on the scale of Miss Shouty Woman at the beginning of the season. It was,
but Miss Shouty Woman.
yeah, but those people here, what was going on? Those round blow up things running into each other. It was brilliant. But anyway, I think picking up on your point, Matt, I was going to ask you, after 25 minutes, starting off with a pass to no one from Ivan van Zyl, a kick through the in-goal area from Elliot Daly, multiple errors and a try from Toulouse. Did you feel it was going well?
No, but I thought we'd kind of done well to keep it to one try. I made a comment on our WhatsApp group that I didn't like some of the body language from the players at all. There were a few people nitpicking at each other, but maybe it was just off the back of Mark McCall's words in the week, people trying to G each other up. I think, one negative, you mentioned Elliot Daly's kick, and I think he had a very mixed bag of a game. Something's not quite right for him at the moment, that's for sure. And I actually don't know who it was that threw the pass straight into Noah Kalori's face, I think it was, where Kalori was probably a yard or two further forward than he really needed to be. And whoever it was threw his arms in the air and stood still and stared at him. Meanwhile, the game's going on around him. So it didn't really look too good for body language-wise. But there were two moments, really, that turned things around for us, I think, in that first half. The first one being Theo McFarlane's charge down, which led to us get back in the game with a try. And then the second one, Fergus Burke's break out of his own 22. Great turn of pace and kick forward to Alex Lazowski, who unfortunately forgot how to use his hands in the time that he's been injured. Although we didn't score from that, it just seemed that from then that we sort of went, well, hang on, we can actually play rugby. And just sort of playing within ourselves and trying to keep Toulouse out, then became that sort of 10 or 15 minute blitz where we got ahead and then looked comfortable for the rest of the game in defence.
We did have that period up until probably the last 12 minutes of the first half where we're making mistakes, dropping the ball, putting in a lot of effort and keeping them out. And then for 12 minutes, we were attacking geniuses. And as you say, Alex Lazowski botched that one. He actually made up for it with the pass for Roti's second, which was really well played. But Fergus Burke in that 12 minutes was astounding. Yeah, it was such a shame that Alex Lazowski botched that try because it would have been one of the tries of the season. And it wasn't the only break that he made in that period. He was deadly for 12 minutes, John.
On one of the other points about Fergus Burke, he seemed more up for it. He's there and thereabouts, but he really seemed he wanted the ball like yesterday. He wanted to kind of go the extra mile. He went looking for it. And he seemed tougher. He just, like the whole side, as Matt said, after that, I saw from the charge down from Theo, I don't know what happened, but they stepped up another gear. The kind of, the resilience came back, the desire, the commitment that we're all used to was suddenly there. And Toulouse didn't know how to deal with it. Kinghorn was good at the outset, but then he went really quiet. And who's that scrum half who plays for France? I don't think he was there last night, was he?
No, it's a question mark as to whether he's really back from injury, but he was kept out of the game. Let's put the positive spin on it like that. We added a bit of inventiveness to our crash ball for that 12 minutes, didn't we? And it just made all of the difference. But in the first half an hour, one player made a really significant contribution in a way that we don't normally associate with him, is that Noah Kalori made, in my opinion, 3 try-saving tackles, including one on Jack Willis.
He did, yeah. And I think there was almost, for Toulouse's try that they scored, that was a moment where we looked at sort of Kalori's positioning and Elliot Daly coming steaming across to try and cover for whatever was happening there. And it looked like a huge hole. And myself and my dad who were watching actually turned to each other and went, wow, does Kalori know how to defend at all? And then, from then on, it just switched. And he made, several try-saving tackles. I think it really helps that Alex Lazowski at outside centre is very quick getting across. And it is also one thing that Daly did fairly well for the rest of the game, to be honest, in his positioning at fullback. Both defence and attack, I think Kalori was solid. And we've not we've spoken about this for so many players now, but that was a good sort of 7 or 8 out of 10 game from Noah Kalori. He didn't score 6 tries. He didn't make flying leaps into the air, catching the ball, big highlights reel. He did his job solidly. It was Rotimi Shegan on the other wing that bagged the highlights, but Kalori played well, and that's what we want to see.
It was Roti and Tom Willis, wasn't it? Were just almost unstoppable at times, just the power going forward. I think there were quite a few occasions when Noah Kalori was out on a wing, vainly waving his hands in the air, saying, please give me a long, high kick because I want to go for it. There was no way in the world that was going to happen in that wind. He just wasn't going to get a cross-field kick. But I think it's his speed as well that made him defensively so good. You don't have to be a big, beefy bloke if you can catch everybody. But talking about Antoine Dupont, I managed to catch an interview with him after the game, which summed up what a lot of the Toulouse supporters were saying online. And this is quite ironic after our performance against Leicester. He was saying, we didn't turn up and we've got to have a good look at ourselves. As you know, I follow Perpignan, and this season, it takes a lot to lose against Perpignan, as Newcastle showed at the weekend. But by coincidence, the two teams that they've managed to beat this season are Clermont and Toulouse. So quite clearly, Toulouse, to lose against Perpignan, are quite capable of not turning up. It seems like, given how they played at Glasgow, John, that perhaps on a plastic pitch, in the cold wind and rain, they perhaps got a tendency not to turn up.
I've got some friends that are Edinburgh fans, and we were talking about this because I was saying, I don't fancy our chances against Toulouse. And they were saying, honestly, don't give up. Don't think that they're not, because they played Glasgow off the park in their first half, and in the second half, they disappeared. Hence why they came back and won. I mean, I turned up yesterday thinking, this could get very painful. And okay, the opposite happened. I expected them, and I think everybody did, expected Toulouse to come back at us. And we went into that extra gear, showed that extra commitment and kind of resilience. And they just seemed to step back from it, rather than, as most of us thought, that they would step up to it.
And I don't think we should use that as any way to belittle the performance of Saracens, because, they're still number one in the top 14, on course to be French champions again. They're still a fantastic, big team. And the effort that we had to put in was absolutely extraordinary. There was an interview with Jamie George on Premier Sports after the game, where the team was praised by the interviewer for great line speed and aggression. And Jamie George said, this is the way we want to play, and this is the team we want to be, which for me still poses a question mark as to whether it actually is possible, without some really good attacking prowess, to get up to that level of commitment week in, week out, especially next season when we don't have Tom Willis.
It's tricky, isn't it? I mean, we turned up for a big game, let's face it, and we'll have to see whether we can match it against Glasgow. Now we've got ourselves into a stronger position for Europe and beyond. But yeah, We've seen this kind of performance from Saracens before over the last 2 or 3 years, and let's face it, it's pretty much the same personnel that we've been panning for a good few weeks. Although the centre partnership of Ollie Hartley and Alex Zazowski just seem to have something more about it compared to what we've had for the rest of this season. Although, they were players that last year you were looking at going, where's the dynamism there? But it's easy to get yourself up for playing against the French champions. Can we keep this up for the rest of the season to get something out of it? We'll just have to wait and see, really.
We will. I mean, we'll come on to next week, but it's going to be the big test because we haven't managed to put 2 of these performances together in a row. Just as a by the way, Jamie George is a funny bloke. He also made the claim that it was a sellout at the Stone X because the entire Willis family was there. Which might have a...
That was box office, to be fair, wasn't it? The Willis versus Willis. It
was great, wasn't it? There were a number of fantastic cameos. I mean, Jack Willis hit Tom Willis the first time he got the ball. He was obviously, come hell or high water, the first time that Tom Willis got the ball, Jack was going to be there to flatten him, and he did. And then that head hold by Tom Willis on Jack Willis was just brilliant, wasn't it? And everybody, I think, was having a good old chuckle for that. I wondered whether it was that, because if you remember, it was a really good break by us, and we ended up having a penalty against us. I wondered, has he really penalised Tom Willis for grabbing his brother around the head? But I think it was someone else doing something. Just going back to this comment of Jamie George on what type of team we want to be, I was very taken with David Loxham's comment last week about the coach, I can't remember who it was, who sort of went on his way because he had a totally different theory about the style of team that we should be. And that reminded me of when Jez and I were up at Northampton earlier in the season and we were watching the warm-ups. And I said to Jez, look at the difference in our warm-ups. The Saints warm-up was basically a long line of players running very fast down the pitch, making random passes to each other so that every player had to be alive. Is the pass going to come to me? And then what am I going to do with the ball? And they were just running up and down the pitch doing that. Our warm-up largely consisted of the players lining up to receive a pass from a coach and then run into a tackle bag. And that sort of sums it up, doesn't it? And it's still what we're looking like. We are trying to play some intricate passing. And for 12 minutes on Saturday in very, very difficult windy and wet conditions, we managed to do it. But overall, Matt, that's still the kind of team we are, aren't we?
Yeah. This is where people are probably going to get grumpy with me because we've had a good performance and I'm going to start being negative again, having not been on the show for a while and not had the chance. But I think that is what concerns me about the way we're coached and the way we play is that for all Mark McCall and his coaching staff have done for us, I'm still concerned that they're being left behind by the way the game developed. And this season, next season, if it is the case, will be a real test of that, whether they can evolve, whether other personnel come in and need to change. But Loxie was bang on about, I think it was Jack Pattinson who was our academy coach that was coming in with all these ideas, and we thought that maybe he'd develop. He was really highly rated when he sort of came out of London Irish, I think. And yeah, to have lost him to Gloucester is pretty bad, really.
Yeah.
Although I don't know exactly why he went, but yeah, it just is a concern that this we can turn up and play the way we did against Toulouse for 15 minutes and then defend brilliantly to win the game, but can we genuinely evolve our style of play over the long term? Not sure. We'll have to wait and see.
I don't know so much about Bath. They have got some good attacking play, but in particular, Saints, Bristol and Exeter are definitely... Yeah, Exeter, for goodness sake. This was, the pick and go team are now chucking it about, aren't they? And playing that rapid attacking style. And okay, Saints had a bad result over the weekend, but I do like their style. And if anything, they lost to the team in Europe that are more Saints than Saints are just better at being that style of team than Saints are. And we'll get back to the positivity of what a great day it was in a minute. But the other concern that I have is that, at least for the past few games, with the exception of a bit of Charlie Bracken and Noah Kalori, and maybe you still count Ollie Hartley as a young player, I don't know, our young players are not getting that many minutes. You got Samson Adejimi, who's kicking his heels as injury cover up at Newcastle, and we're not seeing Jack Bracken, Angus Hall, Tobias Elliott, Nathan Mikloff, Olamide Sadeki, and a host of others. I mean, okay, maybe they're going to be playing in the Prem Cup, but if that's what we're still treating them as, it does worry me a bit, John.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree, Duncan. I mean, we touched on this a couple of weeks ago again. We've got some really good young players who are full of fire and full of enthusiasm. Charlie Bracken being one, and as you say, a number of others. We bring them into play in the Premiership Cup, and then we seem to step them way back as soon as the league starts approaching. As soon as we have Champions games. I understand the need to play our strongest side, but how do you develop good young players into good first 15 players that can play anywhere? The only way you do that is by bringing them through and taking your chances. And if we're saying we're only going to take chances in the Premier Cup, and then you can go and sit back in the training room because we're now going back to the league or we're now going back to Europe, how does that make them young players feel? I mean, I know one of them quite well because my son went to uni with him, and he's a very good young player. but he's feeling a bit disillusioned at the minute. And if we have disillusioned young players, they're going to go off, Newcastle, wherever it may be. And then what do we have to do when somebody does go, like Tom goes? We haven't got any young ones that we've developed and brought through. We have to go into the marketplace again. And suddenly we're spending huge amounts of money rather than doing what Saracens have always done, which is develop our young players. And I'm not convinced we're doing what we've always done before quite successfully. And if not, why not?
Yeah, you do seem to be a little bit conservative in that area. I mean, a player who's been getting it in the neck for some of our recent performances is Ivan van Zyl, but both online and also people I don't know who are sitting around me who are talking almost as loudly as I do at a game, they're all absolutely baffled as to why he still appears to be our first choice number 9. I mean, one of them said, he'd definitely be off in the summer, to which I said, well, actually, we re-signed him for 3 years last May, and it would be a complete travesty if Charlie Bracken became our third choice scrum half, Matt, because, again, when he came on, at least he came on the 55th minute this week, but when he came on, the play immediately sped up.
Yeah. There's something really odd about Ivan van Zyl at the moment, because I think if you go into the stats, a lot of people are picking up on this. So our ruck speed in the league is apparently, I think it's the second quickest. So we call Ivan van Zyl a bit slow at the moment, but it turns out that that's not actually the case. But I think what the problem is, you watch him sometimes, if he's not got the immediate pass on his shoulder, he's taking 3, 4, 5 steps before making that pass. So the ball has come out of the ruck, but he's just going sideways for a little while, whereas Charlie Bracken has that beautiful pass straight off the ground, apart from the one time where he picked the ball up and got flattened by a Toulouse player. But yeah, I don't really understand what's going on there, to be honest. Part of me does also go, Charlie Bracken's coming on and the game's speeding up because he's fresh and because that's what he's being told to do. Is Ivan van Zyl being told to manage the game for the first 50 minutes or so, or is that just the way he goes about his rugby? I'd be surprised if that's not a genuine tactic from our coaches and things in the way that we're playing. And Ivan van Zyl was a little bit of a fall guy for it. That said, he's made some mistakes this season, and we're quite right to pick up on those. But yeah, I don't think it's quite as simple as our first choice being a snail and our young player not getting enough minutes. There's a little bit more to it than that. But yeah, it would be really interesting to see how Van Zyl, Charlie Bracken and Thomas Williams all fit into the same bracket. And presumably Gareth Simpson's either done at the end of the season or he's quite happy just being part of the squad on a low wage in training, because he's still a decent player as well, really.
A very good player, but yeah, and you'd imagine in this salary cap constrained age that something will be done to move him on. Yeah, maybe Ivan van Zyl would go, but also he's got that sort of, or it's been talked of as a potential coach and the rest of it, and a mentor, hasn't he? So he might, hopefully, in my opinion, and I do take on board what you're saying, is that he's probably doing something that he's been told to do. I hope he's there as a mentor, number 3, and not as number 2. An interesting thing happened at half-time, because after that brilliant 12 minutes when we went in the half-time 10 points ahead, and the wind, if anything, started to get stronger and the rain started going almost vertically across the pitch, I said to a friend of mine who's not a regular rugby union goer, I said, I don't think that 10 points will be enough for us to defend in this wind in the second half. And being a gambling man, he immediately went online and found out that Saracens were 4-1 to win and Toulouse were 3-1 on.
Ah.
So he immediately put a tenner on it. He was absolutely delighted, of course, when Toulouse scored a try 5 minutes into the second half. But at which point, the betting on Toulouse to win was suspended. So I think that, that shows how extraordinary, although it wasn't the prettiest performance you'll ever see, but it shows what an extraordinary, controlled and in many ways disciplined performance, in contrast to giving away so many penalties in the first half. What a really great defensive performance the second half was.
The defence was astounding.
Yeah.
They gave them no space whatsoever. I was getting drenched, couldn't see half of it because my glasses were so wet. And yet they had complete control of the game. And if we can do this, and you get Jamie George making statements like that, and you get Mark McCall saying, well, we had serious words after the Leicester game, then what can we expect next week? We take this as a positive because it was an absolutely positive, outstanding game. Really enjoyed most of it. But can we now take this forward to Glasgow and repeat it, if not better? Or are we going to take a step back to some of the mediocre issues we've had for the rest of the season?
That is the question. Now, here's something you will have an opinion on, Matt, because...
Warm it up.
One of the great sights was quicker than anybody else was Owen Farrell coming immediately over to the East Stand with a grin on his face like the Cheshire Cat. Genuinely, really, you could see, absolutely delighted and happy. And I personally love him. I think it's the role he's best at now, coming on with 25 minutes to go and playing alongside Fergus Burt.
I don't want this to sound harsher than it does, but I think in a way, to get the best out of Fergus Burke, Owen Farrell needs to spend as little time on the pitch as possible. Because I think they're two very different players. If they're both trying to be the playmaker and the linchpin in the team, although there were signs that it worked a little bit at the start of the season, I really don't think it works for a full 80 minutes. But yeah, I think in a game like that was still a bit tight, to have someone come on fresh with 20 minutes to go as a leader in your team, rather than your leaders having to come off because they're spent. Yeah, that was perfect. Obviously, Marrow involved in that as well for the full 80 minutes was absolutely phenomenal. But yeah, Owen Farrell didn't really do anything major for that 20 minutes, but you could just tell that everyone just rallied around him a little bit coming on, and yeah, that was perfect. So him having a bench spot for the rest of the season, I think that works for me.
Yeah, well, Matt says he didn't do anything, John, but he was there for that crucial penalty, wasn't it? That was quite important.
I could have scored that.
I don't know. With the wind of the rain in your face like that, I thought, yeah, I was very glad to see him taking that penalty and not Fergus Burt.
Yeah, I know. I think Fergus's development in the kick, the kind of kicking stakes, there's a long way to go.
Big weak point, yeah.
A bit of a weak point there, but we won't knock him because he had a great game. But Owen slotting that with that wind howling and the rain in Fergus's development. I think having Owen around, whether he's coming on in the last 20 minutes, but he's part of the setup, he'll develop into a very, very good player. Even the Scottish guys I know are saying that they like the look of him, and Farrell will help him out. But I'm not gonna knock Owen. He used all his experience to get that ball between the posts.
I like seeing him play alongside Fergus Burke, and I think he will develop him. And what I've got to say is the last 5 minutes of that game was the most exciting stick it up your jumper rugby I've ever seen, Matt.
It was, yeah. It was almost the opposite of the final against Leicester, which is way too long ago now. It's about 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Getting old. Yeah, the dullest 35 phases of rugby, but the most exciting in the same way. I mean, we probably could do this for an hour and a half, but there's so many players out there that deserve some credit, isn't there? Yeah. I don't know if you've got anyone else in mind that you wanted to pick out, Duncan, before I steal your thunder again.
No, go ahead, because, it's like you say, you could go through the whole team, couldn't you?
You could. I'm just going to say Hugh Tizard briefly, because obviously Marrow's going to get a lot of plaudits for being Marrow, but I think Hugh Tizard probably this season is having his best Saracen season, is showing why we signed him from Harlequins. He seemed to be a little bit of a chugger sometimes, but he's playing that George Cruz role a little bit more now. But Marcus Street.
Yeah.
You mentioned Jamie George earlier, played a full 80 minutes, as did Marcus Street. And not necessarily playing the full 80 minutes because he was absolutely outstanding, but he did seem to grow into the game and was at his best with 10 minutes to go. I think I have absolutely no idea what goes on in the front row, really. But when Reece Carey came on, we started looking the better team in the scrum for sure. But it was Marcus Street, I think, that was winning or not having penalties given against him, basically. In the same way that we've spoken about Alec Clary quite a lot at tight head, being a very solid, reliable, dependable player. Marcus Street's exactly the same, but to be honest, he's a better player than Alec Clary as well. I think he's probably, is he the signing of the season this year? I'd say potentially is. But yeah, to play 80 minutes against Toulouse, against a pack like Toulouse have got as well, he really deserves some credit.
80 minutes for a prop is an extraordinary performance, isn't it? I don't know whether you noticed when the players were sort of congratulating themselves at the end. Tom Willis went up to Marcus Street about 3 or 4 times, congratulating him on his performance, and it was that kind of performance. And you mentioned Hugh Tizard. I watched the Premier Sports highlights after the game, and I think lots of people would have been delighted to hear that every time Hugh Tizard got the ball, that it was Hugh Vivian. It sort of gave me a bit of a setback at first. Is he really come back into the team?
Can he score drop goals like Hugh Vivian?
Well, he hasn't had a go yet. Has he ever tried? There's always one of those joke periods in a game, isn't it, when a prop or a lock tries to drop a goal. So shall we take a break there, and then we'll come back with the 3-word reviews.
You're listening to the Fezcast.
Hello, this is Akina Gondwe of Saracens Women, and you're listening to the Fezcast, and we are both proudly sponsored by the Saracens Supporters Association. For a £10 annual subscription to the SSA, you'll get the chance to buy tickets for away matches, receive a regular newsletter, and an exclusive SSA badge. They also arrange pre-match gatherings and player-coach events. As well as sponsoring both me and the Fezcast, they also sponsor Louis Johnson from the men's team and the Saracens Foundation Track Club. Not bad for £10. You can join up at membermojo.co.uk/SSA. Enjoy the rest of this edition of the Fezcast, and I look forward to seeing you at StoneX. Come on, you Sarries.
This is the Fezcast.
Well, welcome back, everybody, and we'll have a look at the 3-word reviews, and we've got a few peaches this week, I think. We'll start off with Han K via Facebook. Crowd were fantastic. And they were, we mentioned this earlier, that it was one of the louder occasions at StoneX. So we mentioned the fact that it was good to have a big vocal contingent of Toulouse fans there who were geeing everybody up.
I did feel sorry for the Saracens drummer in the East End, because every time he came round and he was going bang, 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 there's louder cries were coming from the Toulouse fans sitting directly behind me.
It was a mixture, to be fair. I think it was about 50-50 in volume, but it shouldn't have been 50-50 in volume because there was a lot fewer of them. But that's French rugby for you. They are loud. Gareth Baxter, rain 16th man. I think Gareth's got a point there. I think if it had been dry and still and a lot warmer, that would have suited Toulouse more running, fluid, passing game than it did with our crash ball, Matt.
Yeah, I think you can't really deny that it played a factor. It's a great leveler sometimes, isn't it, the weather? But at the end of the day, we had to play it as well.
Yeah.
So, and it was in our faces for the second half. So
yeah, exactly. And then Gareth cheated a little bit and he had a second bite of the cherry saying next week's massive. Yeah, and we've covered that, and it definitely is. We'll come on to the Glasgow game a little bit later. Mark Todd, same next week. Well, we're all hoping for that, and that is the question. Black and red, they turned up. And this is what we were saying earlier, John, that this is the mystery of the season. Is it this yo-yo season of going up and down is the mystery. John Mannings. This is interesting because John Mannings has posed a question, which is, are we back? And then immediately after him, Ben Ridgen has answered him by saying, Sarries are back. So that was convenient. Thank you very much, Ben, for doing the job for us. Steve Cummings, that's the spirit. Indeed it was, and let's hope we can see it again next week. Rugby Saracens, which is the SSA account. Allez les Noirs. And nice to see a bit of French said properly rather than whatever it is Jez has been calling Stade Toulouse in the past few weeks. Toulousain. God knows what he's calling it. Mark the Medieval Rat. Loz been missed. I think that's a point that you've touched on, Matt.
It is. I mean, Loz is someone that I've looked at and quite a few times and thought, I never quite know what his position is within our squad, but just seems to keep ticking along. And there's probably been a little while that I thought maybe he's a bit of a forgotten man for us, and especially with the injury that he had. But yeah, the performance this weekend was fantastic. And at a time when, if rumours are to be believed, he may well be out the door at the end of the season. But it doesn't look like that commitment that he's got to the club has changed in the meantime, does it?
3 of the 4-ish players who are most highly rumoured to be on their way are Alex Lozowski, Theo McFarland, and we know Tom Willis is on his way, and all of them are just giving their all. I mean, Theo McFarland's being brilliant for at least a month and a half now.
Yeah.
And good on them. Good on them for doing it. Maybe they haven't yet signed their new contracts, and it's doing their salary and negotiations no harm to put in these kind of performances. Roger King, second quarter carnage. Yeah, 12 minutes, I'd say, but that's quibbling. It was just one of the best periods of play that we've seen from the Saracens team in many a year. Rue Cayford, midfield, much better. I mean, going back to that point about Alex Lozowski leaving, Angus Hall, when he plays for the England under-21s, plays at 13. Yep. And he's one of the players, given that we've got so many other great wingers stroke fullbacks, that's something that I'd like to see in the team, is him given a chance there. Maybe, we could start to do it against Newcastle, although we do need a 5-point win out of that one.
Certainly did it under 18 level for us, didn't he, Angus Hall? But yeah, I think he was playing on the wing for us last season, mainly because there wasn't really any other option for him.
Right.
But yeah, I would say that, yeah, he's more of a 13. But I think he and Tobias Elliott have had some injuries this season so far, so haven't quite got going, have they?
Tobias Elliott was in the merch stall signing stuff. I'm not sure what the situation is with him. It would be good to see him back. Disillusioned pensioner, 23-man performance. Yeah, this is something we haven't touched on, actually, because we touched on Owen Farrell, we touched on Charlie Bracken, but everybody who came off the bench was superb.
Well, the only issue I've got with that is 2 of them didn't come on. But they played their part, sure.
Yeah, well, the ones who came on did really well. But yeah, it's part of that. It's part of that conservatism, isn't it? Yeah, we didn't get to see was he our older or younger?
The older of the 2 props, Titi Tuamelga. He was warming up in front of me, and he looks absolutely enormous.
Yeah,
but yeah, didn't come on because Marcus Street played the game that he did, and obviously James Hadfield was the bench hooker, and Jamie George played the full 80. But I mean, both of those are decent players. So yes, we'll call it a 23-man performance.
Yeah,
regardless.
That's true. Okay, 21-man performance. Disillusioned pensioner be even more disillusioned with you, Matt.
I'm on one today, aren't I?
Brilliant, Josh. Thank you, Josh. He's done this one before. Buying finals tickets. Let's hope it doesn't have the same outcome as last time. I
think you got a refund on them last time, didn't you?
No, this was it. He came on the week after. It was basically, anybody want to buy some finals tickets?
Well, I'm buying finals tickets tomorrow. So
are you?
On the basis that whatever happens, we'll have a cracking day. And if Saracens are there, we'll even have a better day. So.
Bilbao or Twickenham? Twickenham, yeah. Well, I would recommend to Josh that if you should go all in, because Bilbao is a pig to get to and to get a hotel. So to splash it all out, Josh. You never know. You never know. We might get there. James Unite. Here we go. That could make the lyrics for a good song there, James.
You could maybe repeat it,
and it could be a good song. Ted Zier, I don't know whether bench 1 in brackets the match. Well, that's even if you put it in brackets, it's still 4. And I'm not sure. I think it was that 12 minutes before half time. I think with the starting 15, I think they had something to do with winning the match.
I get. Well, I mean, I guess I understand kind of where we're going there, because there's been so many games this season where we've brought the bench on and collapsed.
Yeah.
Whereas on this occasion, everyone that came on didn't necessarily take everything to another level, but just continued where they picked up. Just the intensity in defence. So yeah, there is a point there.
It is a big change, isn't it, in a match like that when you've got, Ben Earl, Reece Carey again. It's just great to see them come on, and especially against the French teams who, with the bigger budgets, that's the big advantage that they've got, and then we match them. We match their benches, and you can't say better than that with a team like Toulouse. Matt Hode, I'm not sure I want to sit anywhere near you at a match, Matt, because his 3 words are fight, fight, fight.
No, not. Maybe not. Where do you sit?
Tell us where you sit, Matt, and we'll avoid you. This is my favourite. Well, I don't know. We've got one from James here, as my wife's phone goes off in the background. He has said better than sex. So I don't know, James, whether I agree with you or feel very, very sorry for your wife/girlfriend. But nevertheless, thank you. It was a very, very entertaining 3-word review there.
It was a very wet day.
Yeah.
Well, perhaps that's what he likes.
You can decide whether or not you want to edit that out. The less said about the wind, the better.
Oh, dear me. That Jimbo, absolutely unfathomable result. Well, I hope with our newfound expertise, according to everybody who listens, given Toulouse didn't turn up, combination of the wind, rain, etc., perhaps we've suggested some reasons. But yeah, it was unexpected, that's for sure. Certainly on my part. Chris G. Well, am I going to repeat this one? Well, we haven't had the cuckoo clock and the Rockets for a while, so I think I will say it. Toulouse were I think it's going too far. And as I said before, I think it belittles our performance to go that far. They weren't that word. He does actually qualify it in a very balanced way with about another 24 words in brackets, which is now obviously a great win. But herein lies the problem at the moment. It's yo-yo rugby. Crash one week, gutsy performance and reaction the next, then flop the following week. Looking uninterested, no consistency whatsoever. Very frustrating to watch this season.
Could have just read that out at the start and saved us all 45 minutes, couldn't you?
I know, we could have just put it there. And said, we'll get Chris G on just to, well, he'd be a mixture of potty-mouthed and then reasonable. He'd probably make quite a good addition. So there we have the 3-word reviews. Thank you, everybody who contributes to these. They do tickle our fancy every week, and we thank you very much for it. So we'll take another break, and we'll come back and look forward to a very, very intriguing weekend indeed next weekend.
You're listening to the Fezcast.
Well, welcome back once again. One of the things that Jamie George said in that interview that he did on Premier Sports is, this only matters if we back it up. And I think we're all agreed on that. And next week we go to Glasgow. Now, I managed to see a lot of the Claremont v Glasgow game. And I've got to say, I don't know whether either of you two saw any of it. It was frightening in that Glasgow are very, very good. They're another one of these teams that plays this fast attacking, fling it about game and are capable of coming out from the back at 400 miles an hour. And they've also, just like Saints, got a very, very speedy 13. And they didn't face the Claremont second team. They faced the first team in front of 20,000 people, the Claremont Stadium. And this is going to be a real test of where we are, Matt.
It is, yeah. And I'm glad Jamie George has said that, really, because we've seen every single team in our league have their cup final day at some point this season, haven't we? And that potentially against Toulouse could be ours. Regardless of coming out of this weekend feeling so good, we could still end up finishing 5th in our pool and playing Challenge Cup rugby after next week. So yeah, we've got to back it up. We've got to put some kind of performance in against Glasgow, even if it's picking up a bonus point.
Well,
but yeah, they're a phenomenally good team, but we have shown that we can do it when we want to. And chances are, it's in Glasgow. next weekend in January. It's going to be bloody miserable. So it'll be something that we're used to. And yeah, we'll just have to see.
Let's have a quick look at the table, which is not as easy to do on a podcast as it is on the written page. But Glasgow are on 15 points with a points difference of 24. Sale are on 11 with a points difference of 32. We're on 10 with a points difference of 38. And Toulouse are on 7 with a points difference of 24. And Sale play Toulouse next weekend. Now, despite our superior points difference, thank you, Claremont, I think we've got to get into position 1 or 2. And we were seen in the past, if you don't get a home tie in the next round with the chance of a home tie in the following rounds, you're not going to, well, Saracens are not going to get very far in this competition. And we need a win. Even with a win, if Sale win at Toulouse, we still won't get that home tie. But at least with a win, the chances are that we'll get it, because Toulouse will probably beat Sale, and they'll probably have the kind of reaction that we had after Leicester at home in front of their own fans. So it's really, really crucial, John, that we get that win next week.
The performance yesterday needs to be kicked on. And I'm sure Mark McCall is saying that to them. They showed the kind of grit, the determination. They showed the physicality as much as anything else. The tackling was better. If you went to the Leicester game, I lost track of the number of tackles that we missed. If you do that against a speedy side like Glasgow, they're going to run all over us. From a positive perspective, let's take this performance, take that up to Glasgow and kick on from it.
It's a pivotal game. It's a pivotal game because if we go there and win, we probably got a home tie in the next round, which will boost everybody. It would have been even better if it was one of those seasons when we got the game chucked in with our season ticket, but won't begrudge paying for it. And if we then get a 5-point win over Newcastle, as we've said before, we're not in a terrible position for after the Six Nations. Whereas we go next week and collapse again, then that is going to have a knock-on effect for the rest of the season. And it's a bit of a write-off season, I think.
From my perspective, I think we have to think positive. As fans, we have to think positive. And as players, I would hope that they take how that felt yesterday to Glasgow. Because at the end, as everybody has said, at the end of the game yesterday, they were absolutely cock-a-hoot with that result. They all were. It must have been it was a great feeling for them to be there in front of a big crowd, beating a really good side, not beating a Toulouse second-string side, beating a really good, strong Toulouse side. And take that feeling of kind of how good we feel now, take it up to next week and kick on from that.
Well, there's two ways of looking at it. Let's have a good positive week and really look forward to it. Or let's be really bloody pessimistic about it and things can only get better, Matt.
Something I say too often on this show when I'm on, which is probably why I'm not on it very much, is I will take whatever result as long as we play in a way we feel like we should. You know, I've come away from victories disappointed because we've done it in second gear and it's been horrible to watch. And I've come away from losses going, do you know what, we're actually working towards something there. So yeah, if we go to Glasgow and we lose by 5, but we play with the intents to be played against Toulouse, we just get beaten by the better team on the day, then I can accept that far better than some of the performances that we've seen this season. So yeah, it's continuing that momentum, but not necessarily it being about the result, although please win.
Yeah. I think it's been 4 or 5 years since I travelled away to an away match and we won. So,
do you want to stay at home next weekend, then?
Yeah, he's grounding that jet for a while.
I know. But, listen, it's gonna happen one of these days, and let's hope it's on Sunday. Is there anything else that either of you two want to bring up?
No.
Yes, when we have European games and we have to clock in the corner on the ground, please, 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 can they stop the photographer sitting in front of it? Just for us, we're not a needy bunch generally, but some of the cries of, you can never find a sniper when you want yesterday.
I had exactly the same thing. I lost track of time. And
Yeah.
in that very tense final part, I said, it's all right. There's only 5 minutes to go. And the bloke next to me said, no, it says 65, not 75.
This is why you buy the cheap seats like me, fellas. You sit in the south stand, you can see the clock, and the wind and rain is never coming in my direction. It's always the other way around.
On the North Stand. The North Standers ever brilliant yesterday. I think they should add seats there and up the noise. Well, the last thing I would say, if anybody else is travelling to Glasgow via Gatwick this Saturday, check your trains because they're completely up the spout. I checked it this morning and it would take me 2 hours and 10 minutes to get from Mill Hill to Gatwick on Saturday morning, and it would take 3 trains and a bus.
I just start driving north, and yeah.
I know, I'll have to start walking now. On that happy note, as I say, hopefully you can find a way if you're going to Glasgow. See you there. With such a brilliant game coming up, I just want to bemoan the fact again that it's on Premier Sports and most people won't see it. I mean, what a shame, isn't it?
Oh, no, it is. I got Premier Sports for a month because I wanted to watch one of the games, but I can't justify this.
It's a great shame. But for everybody who's going, see you there, and we'll take our voices and we'll keep our fingers crossed. Thanks, John, and
absolutely.
Thanks, Matt, for coming on.
Welcome.
This is the Fezcast.